Brian here with the games I beat for November and December 2023. I played some newer games, and as newer, I want to say 2010 games. Now, I think around the mid 2010. I don't play a lot of games from this era. We're talking 360 and Xbox 360 and PS3. So first off, start with Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. And this is a 3D beat 'em up. You play as Gabriel Belmont. Basically, what I mean is you have like a character action 3D beat 'em up. You have like a cross that you can upgrade. You go through a set of stages, and you can go back and get upgrades by. You get an upgrade in one stage. You can go back and go to the next stage and get another upgrade or get another item. You don't have to do it. The stuff you can get in the other levels is not mandatory. So you have like different character buttons, like combos you can unlock during the stage and like, with your whip item, and you can upgrade that whip and get it stronger. Not great. The music's not very great. It's more ambient than Castlevania. It's alright, not my favorite 3D Castlevania game. Not much Castlevania to it, actually. It's more like a character action with good graphics. It starts off, it leaves a bad impression, though. It has like very dark at the beginning of the game. It's like it's hard to see, and you're fighting a werewolf, and it kind of gets better from there. Once you get to the like castle, it picks up a lot. It feels more the most Castlevania it's gonna feel, but then it kind of levels out from there. Lots of unlockable combos. There's a story narrated by Patrick Stewart, which is kind of thinks it's better than it is. I don't even remember the story. Kind of cool I mean, the bosses were... I didn't like... There's these giants that you had to climb on. Oh, God, they were the worst. And you had to, like, hold a button to hold on. And if you didn't hold, you'd, like, fall off. And you'd have to... It was a pain. I hated them. The other bosses were okay. They were more normal bosses. Like, find a pattern, move around, hit them with your whip. You did have the classic Castlevania weapons. You had like holy water, dagger, and the cross, and you could like upgrade those with different magic. There's like a dark and black magic meter that you like could fill when you attacked enemies. And if you like went so long without getting hit, it would like upgrade your power or your attack power and stuff. There's like dodging, and you can like do some magic with those. You can like mix the weapons with your abilities with the dark and light magic and unlock different moves by experience that you get from beating enemies. It's not called experience, but it's called something else. Each stage is pretty linear, but there are like paths that you'll go through, and you'll see it's something up here you can't get to it. It'll say come back to later, and when like maybe a next chapter in the game you'll come back with, you'll have to remember, oh yeah, I have to go back here and get it. I didn't really do a lot of that, so I can't really speak to it. It's pretty long too. It's 2 discs, so it's kind of long. That's my main gripe with it. It's too long. It could have stopped halfway through. It doesn't really feel like it's too long. I didn't like the giant battles where you had to climb on those. I hated those. The music wasn't very Castlevania-y. The combat was fine. The graphics were good once you got out of the dark first area. You did fight a lot of werewolves and vampires. It was fun. It caught me engaged, but I kind of wanted it to end near the end. I don't know if I'll ever play it again. It's not my favorite 3D Castlevania. I still like Curse of Darkness a lot more. Even 64 I might like more than this one. Probably they're probably even. I like 64, but this one, it's fine. I just don't know if I'll ever play it again, or if I'll even keep it. I don't know. There's a sequel I want to play, though, Lords of Darkness 2, which, not spoiling it, but you play as that main character in a time jump. It kind of interests me, and I heard that one has... Some people like it, some people don't like it. I kind of want to try it. So if I can find it cheap, I'll give it a try. Next up, continuing the 360 games, we have my first Suda51 game. Grasshopper Manufacturer's Suda51 did, like, No More Heroes. This is my first one I played of his. Lollipop Chainsaw. It's another character action game. You play as the the daughter of a family of vampire hunters, Juliet Starling. She has a chainsaw, and she like can attack with the chainsaw. She has pom poms to hit people and the zombies, and they stun them, and then you can finish them off with the chainsaw. Very colorful game. The stages aren't. They're just there for the action. Like they're nothing. There's not a lot to explore. You can unlock moves at these vending machines to upgrade your chainsaw moves, and much like Castlevania, you can. There's a lot of like I have problems with memorizing a lot of button moves, so I kind of pick one or two that works and I stick with it. I think I stuck with the one that she'll slash like high low, and then she'll do this flip, and she'll like cut everything to pieces. You fight zombies. The game starts off at your 19th birthday. You go to school. Everybody's a zombie, and then there's like a little tutorial level in the parking lot. You kind of learn the ropes, and it kind of feeds you more stuff throughout as you go. A lot of licensed music in this game. Like the Hey Lolly Lollipop song by like the 50s, 60s song, 50s song. A lot of licensed music. It was written by James Gunn, the director. It's okay. I thought it was perfect length. I didn't think it needed to be longer. It kind of ended when I wanted it to, and the last boss was kind of like an Elvis, which is kind of interesting. Like a big giant Elvis. Yeah, it was okay. You also have your boyfriend's head on your side that kind of talks to you during the game, which is kind of neat. Not the best game, but pretty fun for, the few, like 12, 15 hours I played it. This is the last of the newer games I've beaten this year. And that is Puppeteer. So this intrigued me. I don't have a lot of PlayStation 3 games. I have like 4, and this is one of them. Except for some downloadable ones, which I'll talk about at the end. This was a very beautiful game. So you play as like this puppet who comes to life, and you get these magical scissors. And you use the scissors to attack enemies. You also use them to cross gaps. When you see fabric, you can cut your scissors and cross long gaps. Each level's like a stage, and you can like the curtain rises, and it looks gorgeous. It has a story, and the cutscenes are like this kind of cool like puppet like animation kind of looking feel to it. Very beautiful looking game. The platforming is not the greatest. It's more there as the set dressing is like everything, and the platforming is okay. There's parts where you have to like run up with your scissors up fabric to escape stuff. I don't remember a lot more about it. I mean, that's more my problem. I forget about a lot of games like I'll forget a lot about them. So when I go back to a game, it's like a new game. This was good. I just don't remember a lot it being like fantastic. It was okay. It does look good. But I was expecting maybe a little bit more. Next up, we have Super Mario Brothers Wonder. This is the newest 2D Mario game. So, what can I say? It plays like it's a lot like New Super Mario Brothers U, but it has a better art style. It controls better. You're not as weighty, and you have more direct control over your direction, stopping easier. And the music's better. Very colorful game. I like the color in it. It's a Mario game. I mean, you played one, you kind of know what to expect. It's not going to be too different. It's going to be fun, kinetic, jumping over platforms, getting to the end of a stage. The main part of this game is to make the stages a lot more creative. They had these wonder seeds in the flowers in the game where you catch them, and then it changes the stage up into kind of quirky things that you're doing. So maybe one turns like the ground into water and the water into ground, so the physics is reversed, or another is you're this like shell enemy and you can boost up in the air, so it turns vertical. Another is maybe you're like running on these sheep. That's like one of the first ones you do. It turns into like an endless, like, not an endless runner, but it's like a move as fast as you can through the level. Very ingenious parts about this game. It was very good. I liked it. Much like every 2D Mario game I play, I like quite a bit. So the look, I think the standouts for this game is how it looks. It sounds pretty good. The soundtrack wasn't as memorable as like the classic Mario games to me, like Mario World, Mario 3, Yoshi's Island, Mario 2, even, but it's still some good stuff that after the game was done, I got stuck in my head. And I did finish it twice, 100%, and it never got, I think the difficulty is perfectly good, because there was parts I died in it, but I'd come back and I'd do it again, and I never got frustrated. If you want more challenge, there's like these Star Road levels, and they're more challenging. They never got too bad, except the last one was pretty difficult. The last two were pretty difficult, but the last one in particular has checkpoints that it breaks it up into chunks, so you're never too frustrated. So it makes it a lot easier, but it's still a challenge on those levels. So I thought the difficulty was good. Fun game. Enjoyed it. You do have like these badges you get, and the badges change Mario's like abilities. So if you're like me and when you play as Luigi, you want him to have the little like floaty jump like Mario 2, you can apply the floaty jump badge. It's not called floaty jump, and he kicks he like feels like Luigi from Mario 2. I think there's one for, you can add Peach or Mario and it makes them float. So when I played as Peach, you can give her more floaty. I think there's one that they float. There's also one where Mario will constantly run. And there are different modifiers you can set to the game to change how you play the game. I do wish that maybe... So I wish that the Wonder Seeds didn't slow down the game so much. Because once when you first see them, the Wonder Flower gimmick is kind of cool because you're like, what's happening now? But it kind of like stops the game, and then you have to see this animation and it changes it, and then you gotta play through it. Some of them are better than others. They're all pretty decent. But I like my platformers, 2D platformers, to be more... I like some exploration sometimes, but I don't like when it stops the game and I have to wait a little bit, and that's a little minor gripe. So the first time you see him, it's cool, but if you play the game again, maybe it's a little... wears out its welcome a little bit. But it's cool. I like it. I do hope for the next Mario game they don't stick like directly with this formula. I hope they do something different. I don't want to see like 5... I mean, I'd play them, but I don't want to see like 4 more Super Mario Wonder games. I want to see like maybe do a new Mario 2, or do like a Mario with the art from Mario 3 in the instruction manual, that kind of look, or the art from Mario 2 or something like that. I don't want them to get typecast into doing just like Wonder games. Like, I don't want to have the Wonder Flowers be like for 4 games. I hope they don't feel like they have to keep with this, because this is a fun game, but I don't want to have like 4. I want them to do something different. Next up, after playing Wonder, I wanted to play more Super Mario Brothers games. So for the first time, I played Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, and I played it on Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World. So after Mario Wonder, I played Super Mario Brothers on here, I played Super Mario Brothers 2 on here, I played Super Mario World on here, and I played Super Mario Brothers 3, and I played Yoshi's Island again. And then I played Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels for the first time. And I enjoyed it. It was very trolly. Like, for example, if there's an enemy... So, Super Mario Brothers The Lost Level, let me explain. The first time it was released over here was in the All-Stars version and this version on the Super Nintendo. Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels is the actual Super Mario Brothers 2 that was released in Japan, but we never got here until the Super Nintendo All-Stars cartridge and this cartridge. Never played it. So this is the first time I played it. And People have said it's hard, and it is more hard. It is quite a bit harder than Mario 1. But if you play the All-Stars version, you can continue at each stage you die. That makes it less frustrating, where if you play the Famicom version, if you die at 2-3, you have to play 2-1 and 2-2 to get to 2-3 again. It's much harder. This makes it much more beatable. It's still hard. You're still going to die a lot, especially at the castle stages. The castle stages have very mazy, and there's big fire bars you got to avoid. Some platforming is a lot more challenging in places than Mario 1. Mario 1 had challenging platforming. This has a lot more hidden blocks to jump on a block to get in a pipe, and if you scroll past that block, you have to die because you can't hit that block to get in a pipe. It has a lot more longer jumps you got to do, where you have to get a running start to jump and then hit like a Koopa and then jump off his head and jump to the next, or hit a Koopa, jump off his head to get to the next part. If you scroll too far, you don't have a running start, you can't do it. There's also parts where if there's an enemy here, say there's an enemy here, and there's a hidden block you can't see here. You're running, and the programmer knew right when you jump, you'd hit your head and you just fall right in front of the Koopa, and he'd hit you. Stuff like that that's very trolly. There's also mushrooms that are purple that you take and they will hurt you. So if you're Super Mario, you take it and you'll turn into regular Mario. There's also wind in the stages now that will blow you. And there's a lot more springs, which are very difficult to use in Mario. And when you hit the spring, you have to jump up real high, and you're no longer on the screen. But you can scroll your jump, and the wind will push you further. So you have to jump, use the wind, and kind of imagine yourself up in the air. And as you see the screen scroll, you got to position yourself in the middle so you'll fall on the next platform to continue. Very hard. There's also, the castles were very cryptic on where to go. There's a lot of jumps where you got to kind of there's a pipe here, and there's a platform here, and you kind of got to jump and then fall in with your jump. Mario 1 had that too. This one has a few more. A lot of hidden blocks, a lot more Hammer Brothers, hidden blocks to make the next jump. The Hammer Brothers in this are much harder. They walk towards you now, and if you get a Hammer Brother walking towards you and they're tossing hammers, you have this moving arc of death. You have to keep moving, and then they jump, and it's very hard to deal with the Hammer Brothers in this game. You could play as Mario or Luigi. I played as Luigi, and I think it made it easier because you can jump higher. So I beat all eight stages. Then if you beat all 8 stages without warping, you can do 4 more stages. I think it's World 9, then World A, B, C, D. Or maybe it's A, B, C, D. And then you get a second ending with just text. That's it all. So I did that. Very challenging, nothing too bad with very trolly. It was hard, but with the Super Nintendo version, it wasn't too bad because you could continue at the stage you left off on. Yeah, I'm glad I finally beat Lost Levels. I hope to replay it sometime because I don't know it as well as the Mario 1. So I'd like to play it again. I had fun. I was surprised how much fun I had with Lost Levels. Yeah, it's pretty good. By the way, all these Mario games on here, fabulous. Still very replayable to this day. Super Mario Bros. 2 is awesome. Super Mario Bros. 3 is awesome. World's awesome. This is awesome games to play. Great. Mario games, great. After playing Wonder, I wanted to go back and play these games. Yeah, these still are up there with, Wonder's good. I still think these are still the cream of the crop of these games are great. Also, I talked about Yoshi's Island, played this again. When I play Yoshi's Island, I never 100% it, never go for the 100% score. It's so hard to do because your collectibles don't save, so you got to do it in one shot, and if you get hit once, sometimes you can't come back with all your stars and get that passing grade, 100% grade. Fun game. Love Yoshi's Island. Looks one of the more beautiful games. Will be timeless for all time. Love it. Fantastic game. These games here, like, I think I'll be playing these for the rest of my life. Always. Just always. Next up, we have Batman, the animated series on Game Boy. Konami, based on the animated series in the 90s. You play as Batman. You also can play as Robin. You fight the Joker. You fight Scarecrow. You fight Mr. Freeze. And Poison Ivy. And the Riddler. And the Penguin. And then you fight Joker. Very good platformer. Much like Batman for the NES, you have like a wall jump, which is fun to use. You have batterings, which you can get. You hit select or start. I think it's select, and you can switch to those, and they give you a little bit more range. You have like the platform. The level design is cool because it's built around like jumping and moving vertically with your wall jump. Very short game, but very hard. Very, very hard. Especially the Mr. Freeze took me quite a long time to play, to do. Fantastic Game Boy game. Looks great, sounds great. Konami. Yeah, this is a fun game. Very rewarding. I got a little further each time, and I finally beat it. Felt great. That's what I love about these games. Like, they're hard, but they're short, and once you know it, you can do it. You know what to do, and you can just go through it. Very fun game, without its frustrations, but fun enough to keep through. Yeah, this is a good one. Next, we have Super Mario RPG. This is the remake for the Switch. Came out this year. I like Super Mario RPG. I played it as a kid, like a lot of... as a teenager. Still a kid. My friend had it. I borrowed it, played it, loved it. Played it again probably around 2014. Still liked it. This is the same game. Only with a better, subjective. I think the original still looks good. The graphics on this look good. They added some triple moves where you can combine your powers, and it just wipes out everything. When you complete like your timings right, it'll increase that meter, and then you can do your triple moves depending on how you have in your party. Like one is Geno, Bowser, and Mario. You'll like ride like Bowser's clown car and like destroy everything. Still good. It's not much more than a 1-to-1 remake though. They added some post game, which I did, which is kind of cool, with some different you refight some of the bosses and they're harder, and they added another boss fight against Culex. This time he's like 3D, and that's the hardest fight in the game, very much. So I hated that fight. Very random. I hate when randomness comes into battle. It took me like 20-30 tries to beat him. Good game. I think Nintendo could have just put out the Super Mario RPG on Switch, on the virtual console or the Switch, and it would have been fine. I like, this is good, but the Super Nintendo one's just as good. Play either one. Still a good game. Next up, we have Shantae and the Seven Sirens. I like the Shantae games. This is the only one I haven't played through, and now I have. This is a fun game. I like this one quite a bit. Compared to Half Genie Hero, which I didn't like that much, it felt like Half Genie Hero, you didn't use your powers much. They were just once, and then you done. Like, you use your abilities. This one, you use your abilities quite a bit. It's much like a Metroid game, where it's one over-connecting underworld, and then you have like your 3 towns on the top, and you go explore in the bottom, and there's like 4 dungeons that you go into, and you get like fight a boss in there. Very fun game. Shantae is an action platformer where you whip your hair, you're a genie, you dance, you hold the X button or the Y button, and she'll dance, and you get 4 genie powers. There's like one, if you hit left while you're holding X, she'll dance, and she'll do like one that like reveals stuff in the world. Like when you go into like a room, so the half genie that you save from the dungeon her portrait will appear, and you know to use that half genie power. One will reveal platforms and things you can hit for items, and the next will unveil. If you hold up, it's like a reveal spell or rejuvenate spell that heals you and also purifies water and lets plants grow. The next is to the right is lightning, which will activate like these little mechanical devices and put electricity to them, and also screen clearing attack. And then the other dance on the down on the D-pad is the earthquake, which will change the terrain in certain areas and does a screen clearing attack. She also has different genie powers as well with these tokens. One lets her do a dash. You get right away. You can like dash with the shoulder button through enemies and stuff and hurt them. The next is a tortoise that will drop down, like you hit down on the D-pad or Z, and she'll like turn into a tortoise and smash through blocks. Another one is the frog. She'll swim as a frog through water, so you can go through different areas. Another is a drill, like kind of crab crustacean, where she'll turn into a drill and drill through these certain like earth areas. Another one is a triple jump, with you turn into an octo squid, and you like triple jump again to get to other areas. I think there's another one. I can't remember what it is. But it's cool. The world uses those in different ways. Unlike Half Genie Hero, like you'll use those a lot. The graphics are pretty good. The music's good. It's fun to explore. I was hooked on going and finding as much as I can. Like you get an item, you know, oh, I can go back, and you go back and you find with your triple jump what you could get. With the drilling form you couldn't get. All those forms are easily accessible with buttons. The dancing menu is easy to just hold and hit left, right, up, or down to do this genie powers. Very good game. Out of the Shantae games, this is probably my second after Pirate's Curse. I like this one quite a bit. Very good. I do like this one. Very good game. Next up, I just finished this yesterday, and that's Kaze and the Wild Masks. I always want to say Forgotten Masks. This is a 2D platformer, feels a lot like Donkey Kong Country. So you play as some kind of rabbit creature whose friend, you find this bracelet and his friend gets possessed in the bracelet, and you get you have to go back and try to save him. So your friend is that like red thing right there. So you go through 4 worlds, like 6 or 7 levels each, and you have like, if you've ever played Donkey Kong Country, if you hit the one button, you can like roll off a cliff and then jump again. Very much like this, you'll spin instead of roll, and then when you're off a cliff, you can jump again and use your momentum to go higher. Very fun. You run. There's no run button, but you can jump, hit Y, to do like a spin, like the roll in Donkey Kong, and you also have a ground pound, which down or Y, or you can just use the shoulder button, which I set it to. So there are, like in Donkey Kong Country, you have DK letters to get to spell it Kong. In this, you have Kaze, Kaze, to spell. So each level has 4 of those. You can get those to get a jewel. And then if you get 100 of the collectibles, the like jewels, you can get another jewel, a pink jewel. You get the yellow jewel for the letters, the pink jewel for the 100 of the jewels. And then there's bonus stages, 2 bonus stages in each stage, and you get a half of an emerald. And when you put the 2 halves together in each level, you get a green emerald. So there's 3 of those jewels to get each level. And then when you get one for each level, each world, you unlock a special super hard level that you can beat, and then you get 100 of the pink jewels in there, and you get another pink jewel. And then when you do that for all 4 levels, it unlocks the good ending where your little buddy comes back to life. Otherwise, if you beat it without that, he stays as his little red form. The platforming is very fun, very kinetic, very fast. Sound is okay. It's very Donkey Kong-ish. Very inspired by Donkey Kong. You also have these masks you can change into. You have one. The first one you do is an eagle that flies, like that parrot in Donkey Kong Country squawks. And then you have, so he's there. And then next is, you have like a lion up there, and he can dash across, like with an air dash and climb on walls and cling. So those stages are based on that. Then you have like a lizard, and the lizard is my worst one because it turns into an endless runner, and you constantly run and you have to jump. But to do these stages for him, you have to memorize everything because you don't know what's coming up. You have like a jump and you have a dash. So if there's a pit, there's an enemy here, and there's a bouncy pad here, you have to know to jump, and then you jump the first time and you don't hit the pad and you die. So okay, next time I got a double jump. So you jump, and then you still miss them because you jump over it. So okay, so then the next time you have to jump, and in the middle of your jump, do hit the X button to dash, and then slam down on that jumpy pad so you get the height. So it's a lot of trial and error on the Endless Runner parts. By far the worst parts of the game for me. But this game is not long at all. I beat it. It took me like 9 hours to get 100%. And it was fun, but if you can get this game for like $4, maybe $10, I recommend it. Anything more than that, probably not. Depends on what, if you like platforming, I think if you can play it, give it a shot. But it's not too meaty. $10 maybe. Fun game though. So that's all the actual physical games I beat. There's 2 more other games I want to talk about. So Double Dragon Neon was the first PS3 game I beat ever. And then I beat Puppeteer. And Double Dragon Neon was a blast. I don't have the game because it's digital. So you start out, it's very much Double Dragon. It's pretty slow though. So it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but you can move up and down. You do have an upgrade system as you get tapes. You can turn these tapes in and upgrade certain moves. Like you can do a spin jump, which I kept, and you can keep upgrading that to get stronger. And you want to do that because some of the game gets pretty hard. When you first go through it, like you're gonna die a lot because it's very slow. You have like this duck where if you duck enemies' punches, you get a boost in your attack power. So you want to kind of time your ducks, and then you can beat enemies quicker. So that takes a while to get used to, and you will get killed a lot. So the music is fantastic. The soundtrack is great. It's very slow compared to a lot of newer beat 'em ups like Streets of Rage 4 and Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. But it has a deliberateness to how they want you to play it. So you want to always duck, dash. You want to duck and roll, because if you roll, you can do invincibility frames through enemies. Especially when you fight the Bobos. You want to hit them and then roll out of the way. So there's a very methodical to this game. But once you upgrade a few moves, you can just decimate people with like the spin kick or like other moves. And you have a meter that will drain when you use it, and you can refill it over time. I think if you get an item to refill it, or it just refills over time. I think there's a meter that does that. This was a while since I played it. I did beat it once, and then I played through it, I think, 3 more times, and each time you play through it, it carries over your upgrades, so it makes the game easier. And by the 4th time, I knew the game pretty well. I could just fly through it. And this is a game that becomes more fun the more you play it. And that's a good thing, because you want games to be replayable. A lot of older games, the first time I play it, that was fun, and it gets the hooks in you, and you want to play it again. I'm not saying this is an older game, but it has that feel of an older game where you want to replay it again and get better and better, and that's what this does. Only this time you can carry your upgrades over instead of starting from scratch. Yeah, soundtrack is amazing. It's so wacky, like you go into space at the 2nd level in a Padoga spaceship. Yeah, it's pretty fun. The other game I played was Full Quiet, the NES, new NES game that came out last year, and it was finally released this year on Switch and Xbox. So this is so the developer contacted me and said, or the publisher, and said, hey, I see you like NES games. I guess he thought I was playing Battle Kid. And he said, because they published Battle Kid, and he said, would you like to try this game? He gave me a code for it, so I played through it at the end of December. Good game, had some problems with it. So it's a massive game. It took me like 20 some hours to beat. It's a very like, where do I kind of go? What do I do? When I first played the game, I didn't know like what to do. So you start as this, like, there's a little beginning part where you see this one guy, he's like attacking these enemies, and then you start out the game. And you have to move to the right here. You kind of goes to a cave, and you find some items. You find a rope. You kind of get used to how to do the rope. You can drop down on certain areas with the rope, and you can pick up the rope from the top, but you can't pick it up from the bottom. And then you progress, you find an energy bar, which heals your life, and you go and you find this cabin, but you can't get in the cabin, you have to like hack this panel, and when you hack the panel, it's this little like pipe game where you got to connect the circuitry to the end, and you're timed, and if you don't do it, you get hurt. I didn't like that. But the good thing is you do that for the 7 main cabins, you don't have to do that again. And once I did get better at it, so once I knew that you could just keep placing tiles until you got the square one, or the straight one, or the curved one you wanted. And there's also like a little refill your time tile you could hit to, so you could get more time and extend your time to do it. That was not great. Then you do that, you go into the cabin, and there's a bed there, and there's a Morse code panel. So the bed is your only place you can save. So you want to find these areas of the world, and the world is divided up, and it's pretty big. It's a big map. Think like Clash of Demon Heads map, or where it's like lots of little not points, but it's big. Or think of like Metroid, or trying to think of another, maybe like not Legacy of the Wizard, but Battle of Olympus has different areas. It's like that, where it's pretty big. So the only way you can save is by finding these certain points in the first area is the plateau, second area is the crags, third area is the swamp, and so on. And you have to find, once you get to a new area, you're kind of stressed that you have to find this place, because you're also timed. You have a day time limit once it gets to like 2 o'clock or 4 a.m. And the next day, like, you'll die. This monster will come out and kill you. So you're stressed as soon as you get to a new area. I got to find that safe house. And when I find the safe house, I kind of have to crack that code to open the door with the pipe game. And very stressful, but it leaves a good sense of you want to find, like, tension that's there. Like, you have to find this area. So once you do that, inside each cabin is a little code book, Morse code radio. And you have to tune the dial with your control pad till you get a do, new Morse code. You write that down. And the next thing, you got to find another panel somewhere in the area. It's a little color coded with those dash dot dash symbols coded in yellow, red, and blue. You have to find that panel, interface that Morse code. Once you do that, then you can go back to the other panel. It will give you something else. And you have to find also somewhere it will give you another code or something else to progress. Then you have to find the color code, and that could be written somewhere. So for example, there's an area where there's a flash in this main tower in the middle of the game. You got to look at that, and it'll flash different colors. In the first one, for example, you got to take that color code, enter it on another panel, and that'll unlock a color code or a letter code. And you have to find the letter code panel, put that letter code in that letter code panel, and it'll unlock the final test. You go back to the main cabin, and you have to tune the frequency to sine waves. Now, this is real. You have to tune it by hitting select from a square wave, select to a sine wave, and select to like a triangle wave. You have to match it with the tuner like 2 or 3 times, and then it'll unlock, and you're complete with that area. You're done with that area. You have 4 checks in the safe house. The first check is for the first code, the second's for the second code, third's for the color code, and the fourth is for the sign code. Something like that. It could be off. But you have to do that for each area. And doing that is half going, where do I go? What do I do? How do I find this code? Because it's not always obvious. You have to really use the clues left behind by this guy's notes, Pap his name is, to put it together and do this. Very rewarding, much like Solstice on NES or Legacy of the Wizard, has that very same feel. Of not the same type of games, but has that feel of making progress each way and getting further and further. Has that feel of the game that you really like. The gameplay is platforming, shootering. Your gun has a main attack that's infinite ammo, but you have to mash the button. The faster you mash, the more you hit. You also have a roll, and you want to master the roll because you can dive through enemies, and you're invincible while you do that. You also get other weapons. You get like a shotgun, which is limited ammo. You can increase your ammo with 2 upgrade packs. It'll double your ammo. At first it's like 3 shots, then it's 6, then it's 9, I think. You also have an automatic weapon, which is like fasting. You just hold down a button. It's like a rifle. And you have a sonic gun as well. You also get ropes, like I said. You also get a grappling rope. We'll shoot a grappling rope if you can't hit a... If there's a grappling rope target up there, you can shoot the rope and climb up. You also have crafting in it, where you get certain enemies will drop parts for enemies, and you can craft at the safe house. And when you go to the crafting area, if you have so many of those, you can craft like replenish your med packs, which refill your health or your ammo and your other items. So you want to use the crafting. There's a lot to this game. It's a very ambitious NES game that I was quite hooked on for about a week. It took me about a week and 20 some hours to beat it. 25 hours, something like that. I do think that there are problems, like I said, the hacking minigames. I don't like the time limit. And there are also a main part in the game where in the crag area, the second area of the game, there's these birds that are color-coded. And they beep out a Morse code. So you have to write that down, because you have to do it to unlock one of the code sections of the other check mark to complete that area, the crag. I wrote them down luckily, but then I moved on with the game because I couldn't figure out where to input them. I came back later in the game to try to figure that out, but the birds were gone. So had I not written that down, I would have been locked. I couldn't have beat the game. That's a problem, I think. And I let the developer know, so we'll see what he got if he gets back to me. I think it could be a little too cryptic for somebody. The action is not great. I mean, it's shooting. You just tap the button and shoot enemies. There are different types of enemies that you got to kind of remember the patterns and how to best deal with them. And you get better as you play it, which is good. You do have a sense of like getting better at the game, which is good. The fungus towers are the worst. I never figure out a way to beat those guys. If you don't know, in the crags area, the second area of the game, there's these big fungus towers, and you have to keep shooting them to make them get smaller. But they regenerate if you're not shooting them. But they also shoot out these randomly flying, 3 at a time, things that zigzag across the room. And when they're under top of you, every other pass, they will drop something on you. So you have to constantly dodge these guys while keep shooting this tower. It's terrible. Hate them so much. Worst NES enemies I fought in a long time. But yeah, I was very impressed with this game. It looks great. Has a lot of scrolling. It's a massive game for NES. Very good game. Glad I played it. I wrote down all my notes so I can come back to it and play it again quicker. Very impressed with the game. Not for everybody though, so if you don't want to figure out what to do and you get frustrated on not where to go, I would not recommend it. But if you want to see a impressive NES game, just look up a playthrough, or not even a playthrough, but just see what a little playthrough of it is. Yeah, it took me like 10 hours to figure out what the game wanted from me. That's how you got to piece together. There was a manual that I read and I still didn't understand, but once it clicked, I was like, oh, that's what they want me to do. So there was a sense of real accomplishment with this game that you don't get with a lot of games nowadays, which is what I like about old NES games. You get that sense of accomplishment. But that's everything I beat for November, December 2023. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and looking forward to the new year. Hope everybody has a great 2024. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.